Why do some people seem naturally happy, while others, they have to work really hard just to feel okay? So if you're not a naturally happy person, this conversation may explain why and show you what you can do about it. In this episode of the Happy Hour with Amber, I'll talk about the real reasons why happiness seems to come more easily to some. I'm also going to be sharing simple yet powerful happy hacks that you can begin doing right away if you aren't a naturally happy person. And as well, I'm going to discuss the four main happiness chemicals that our bodies produce that play a major role to our happiness levels, when supported properly, that is. So hang tight. Before I get too far into this, though, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Amber, international best-selling author, course creator of the Navigating Life's Storms and Whole Happy, a public speaker, Reiki master, and an all-around happy change maker. I believe that it's my purpose and mission in life to help guide intentional midlife souls who are done, absolutely done, settling, move from stuck and unfulfilled to inner peace and authentic happiness using a holistic approach, body, mind, and soul. So each day make a point to, do my part at raising the vibration of the collective to that of more empowered states of being. Now I do this to keep me aligned as well. So let's create together, shall we? So with that, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at someone and thought to yourself, why do they seem so happy all the time and not me? Why do some people seem naturally, lighter on their feet, unaffected by their circumstances, more resilient and more emotionally steady? Well, while others feel like happiness takes a lot of work. Is it genetics, personality, life experience, brain chemistry, mindset? But you know what? Here's a bigger question. If you are not naturally happy, are you stuck that way? Well, to answer that question, the absolute answer is no, no. So in today's episode, I want to talk about why some people are naturally happier than others, and what may be going on all on beneath of that. And most importantly, what you can begin doing right away if happiness does not come easy to you. So right out of the gate, some people may just naturally start out in life with, as having an advantage. But you know what? That doesn't mean the rest of us are out of luck. It just simply means we may need to be more intentional about it. And let me also say this. Naturally happy people do not have perfect lives. They still go through disappointment and stress, grief and loss, conflict and uncertainty. They still have bad days, low moods, emotional reactions, and moments of struggle. Overall, however, they often seem to return to peace much more quickly, and they don't stay stuck in the problems near as long. They don't spiral as deeply, ruminating on the past or catastrophizing the future. Now, why? Why do you think that is? Well, I believe it comes down to a number of factors, not just one. So here are 9 key factors that greatly influence our ability to be happy. Number 1, the obvious one, our personality. Some people just simply lean more towards optimism, flexibility, trust and gratitude, or emotional steadiness. Number 2, another obvious one, our genetics. Research should suggest that some people may be just born with more of a natural tendency towards a higher baseline of well-being, something that I call happy set point. Okay, number 3, our mental health and being resilient. how well a person recovers from stress and adapts to change and copes with life's inevitable changes and challenges. Number 4, cognitive styles, which is simply how we think about what's happening to us. It's our interpretations, it's our perspective, our perceptions. Let me give you an example of this one. We've all witnessed, I'm sure, two people having the exact same experience, right? Yet they have a completely different take on it. Their stories are different as well as a result. So let's say maybe two families in the very same neighborhood that experience a very, very devastating, destructive storm, okay? Leveling their homes. Now, the one family is completely, totally overwhelmed and bereft by the physical loss of their home and their possessions, while the other family reacts very differently. They're just beyond grateful that no one was hurt, everyone was safe, and it all can be replaced. Same situation, different interpretations, and very different emotional results. Okay, moving on. Number 5, our life circumstances. Kind of like before, right? Number 4. Things, but this one is more like things like our health challenges and our experiencing grief and loss, trauma and chronic stress, loneliness, overwhelm, or instability. Now, these things definitely matter, and we can't pretend that they don't. Number 6, socioeconomic styles and our income. Now, that's yet another thing that definitely matters, right? Financial security can greatly reduce chronic stress, and it can help people feel safer in their daily lives. Now, we can't ignore this as not being a major factor. Okay, number 7, early childhood experiences and circumstances. I fall into this camp. The level of safety, love, nurturing, connection, or unpredictability that someone experienced growing up can shape their nervous system considerably and emotional patterns in a very big way, right? Next one, number 8, cultural influences. Our cultural environments are very different and can influence how we relate to one another and how that measures up to feeling happier. Let me give you another example. Let's say in some environments, they may encourage being extremely grateful and faithful, having a deep connection and a sense of well-being. While in other environments, it may be more about feeling pressure to perform, comparison, maybe striving and competition, right? Lastly, number 9, intentional activities, which are the choices that we make every day that support how we think, feel, and live. Now, all of these factors give us a kind of baseline level of happiness that we return to over time. It's what we consider to be our normal. Now, positive psychology has suggested that our happiness is influenced by 3 main areas: our genetics, our life circumstances, and our way of being. Here's the breakdown. About 50% of our genetics influences our happiness set point. And about 40% comes from intentional thoughts and behaviors and actions and habits. And yet only 10% comes from our life circumstances. That's our health, wealth, status, relationships, etc. Okay? Now, does that shock you in any way? Now, whether these percentages are bang on or not, it still tells us something really, really interesting. Most people look to the 10% influence, our circumstances, in order to give them permission to be happy. Now, I'm sure that we all agree that life is forever changing, and these things that we rely on for our happiness it isn't sustainable or consistent, right? So I'm going to say this. That's not our fault. We have been trained and conditioned to chase happiness. That's deliberate. I'm sure that we all know this, right? So, however, and even still, if we were to direct our focus to the 40% influence, that's what we think, feel, how we act, what we believe, our habits, our responses, and our patterns, right? All of which we do have control over, we would have a much higher chance of being happy. So this brings me to another reason happiness does not always come naturally for some. We have a built-in negativity bias. Human beings are wired to notice what is wrong faster than what is good and right. Negative and disempowering thoughts, well, they seem to stick to us more like Velcro, while the positive or the empowering thoughts, they're more likely to kind of slide off of us like Teflon. Why? Why is this? Well, because the oldest part of our brain was not built to notice or focus on helping you feel peaceful and fulfilled, like loosey-goosey. It was only focused on helping you survive. Now, this hasn't changed. Unfortunately, with all the negative stimulus, it keeps this part of our brain in the on position far too often. Unfortunately, so our brain naturally scans all of this stimulus for threats and discomfort and uncertainty, danger, rejection, conflict, and what could go wrong, causing us to, well, worry, overthink things, overreact, and naturally look for problems and then brace ourselves for the worst. This is our human brain doing what it always has done, and it's far more active right now while it's in the on position all the time. It simply means that your brain and body have become more accustomed at being in protection mode than it has been in a peaceful mode. So when we spend a lot of our time feeling stressed and overwhelmed and fearful or in just survival mode, it makes it even more difficult to access calm, joy, ease, gratitude, and emotional well-being. Our nervous system has to work in overtime. We are either in one camp or the other. That is how our nervous system is built. So here's the really great news about all this. What has been practiced can also be retrained. Now, to a great degree, in my opinion, we have tremendous choice. So I'd like to explain another concept that is important, and it helps us to understand why some are naturally happier than others. It's called the happiness continuum. So at the very, very far end of this continuum, it is the very lowest level of happiness, and it's called, well, you guessed it, extreme unhappiness. So this may look like deep emotional pain, heaviness, bitterness, despair, and complete disconnection. No, it's sad to watch somebody, isn't it? Yeah. This can be where, well, professional help and support is absolutely needed. And I am not in any way a doctor or a specialist to even talk about this, but I hope that if you are ever in and at this level of unhappiness, that you will please seek out the appropriate professional help. Okay, moving on. The next level going up the continuum is, well, unhappiness. So this may look more functional, but underneath there is still dissatisfaction, irritation, numbness, emptiness, or a sense of something isn't right. There's something missing. Okay, moving up. The scale is happiness, but for unhealthy reasons. So this looks like, well, substance abuse and addictions and overindulgence. It can also be when our emotional state depends on outside things that provide only temporary relief or the high, right? So less noticeable signs of unhealthy happiness might be, well, seeking approval, attention, being validated, or insisting that events go your way. So then, moving on up is being healthy for good reasons. This is happiness that is for all the great reasons, right? This is where you feel good because you are experiencing a life that you totally enjoy. It's at this point where our happiness is still conditional on external circumstances, however. We look outside ourselves for happiness. Now, the last one, it goes way deeper. It's being happy for no reason. It's where you have this deep inner peace, a sense of connection. You are aligned and grateful, purposeful, and you honor yourself with self-love and self-care. So this is the internal happiness that I often speak about. It's where no matter what is going on in your external world, you still have an inner state of steadiness, a peaceful feeling, and a sense of calm, a calm confidence. This peaceful state doesn't mean that your life is perfect, however. It just simply means that you are steady, you're calm, you're resilient, you're able to better handle the imperfections of your life. So where's the sweet spot? In my opinion, it's right in the middle of being happy for good or great reasons and happy for no reason. Yeah. So now there is one last thing that I desire to speak of that greatly influences our happy set point. That's our body's 4 main feel-good chemicals that support the brain and body in a sense of well-being. The 4 are endorphins, dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. They all play a very different role, yet they work together in many, many ways. Let's break them down. Endorphins, they're neurotransmitters that are linked to pain relief, laughter, movement, and that natural emotional lift that we feel after doing something physical or slightly strenuous. Number 2, dopamine. It's known as the reward chemical. And so it's associated to motivation, progress, and the satisfaction of achieving something. Number 3, oxytocin. It's often referred to as the bonding chemical. It's linked to trust and affection and closeness, warmth and connection. Lastly, serotonin. This is often associated with mood balance, emotional stability, and the overall feelings of well-being. So here's the part that I love. If you are not a naturally happy person, here are some very simple things that you can do intentionally that bring support, that help support all of these things that I've mentioned. Okay? So I refer to these actions as happy hacks, and they can support you at interrupting your negativity bias, regulate your nervous system, protect your inner world, strengthen healthy relationships, and support your happy set point to be naturally higher. So here we go. Happy hack number 1. When your negativity bias is activated, ask yourself redirecting questions such as, what else is true for me right now that is a better thought, belief, or action? You know, even though we have been trained, you don't have to commit to a thought that creates conflict in your body. Instead of thinking what is wrong, think and do your best to override that with what's working. Be connected to that. You know what? It's your brain's job to go to work at accessing your archives of your mind for the answer to any question that you ask it. So ask it better questions. Happy hack number 2. I like this one. Laugh on purpose. Laughter shifts energy faster than so many people even realize. Laughter is the best medicine. Whether you watch something that's funny or do something silly that causes you to laugh at yourself, or just calling someone who brings out the laughter in you, all the while you're supporting the happy chemical endorphins. So think of how good it feels when you get into that, deep laughter. Happy hack number 3. Make a point to set small, easy, achievable goals. Like, I don't know, make your bed each day, drink X number of glasses of water, declutter just even one drawer, send that email that you've not yet sent, and put in your steps for the day by maybe walking around your kitchen island if you can't get outside. Small wins teach our brain that progress is happening. And this supports the the production of dopamine. Happy hack number 4. Make a point to, give your loved one, give them a hug. Take time to snuggle with your pet. Reach out to a trusted friend and have a meaningful conversation with them. Or you know what? Even just sit with someone that you feel safe with and just hold their hand. You don't even have to say anything. Now, all of these things, they create real connection, and it helps your body soften while supporting the healthy production of serotonin. Moving on. Happy hack number 5. Make a point each day to get outside and allow the light in. Absorb it through your eyes. Feel the temperature of your body. Be connected to nature. Lift your gaze to the clouds. Be present in your surroundings. While while being inside, I should say, open your blinds and let the light into your home. Let fresh air in whenever possible. Open your windows. And take your morning coffee out to the front porch or the back deck. Now, this supports your serotonin. Happy hack number 6. To regulate your nervous system, try these hacks. Slow your exhale with conscious, intentional breath work. Pick a breathing style that you're comfortable with and purposely slow it down. Now, something else that you can do to put your bare feet outside on the ground. Or place your hand on your heart while repeating to yourself, thank you, thank you. Now, in a previous video of the happy hour, I talked about mastering the pause before you react. This applies here as well. Happy hack number 7. Create 1, not 10, nourishing daily ritual. So maybe it's getting up a little earlier in the morning for some quiet time. Meditate, journal, drink your coffee in silence. Listen to the birds singing outside. It could even be a stretching routine in the AM or the PM as well. Repeat whatever you've chosen to do and make that your non-negotiable. Happy hack number 8. Now, this is the nag coming out in me right now. Protect your inner world by being mindful of what you consume. Now, be that your screen time, the amount of negative news that you watch on your TV or your tablet, or whatever unhealthy foods that you consume through your mouth, right? All of these things will dramatically drain your joy. Happy hack number 9. Make a point of not isolating yourself. Now reach out to others on purpose. Kind of stretch yourself in social situations. It can be something super simple like just saying hello to a passerby while you're walking. Wave to your neighbor across the street, and even offer to help someone in need. Be it a ride to your church. Carry someone's groceries, maybe. Or, just talking to somebody at the dog park. Connecting with other individuals is medicine to both parties. Last one, happy hack number 10. As uncomfortable as this may be at first, I want you to look into the mirror and talk to yourself respectfully, the way you would another person, okay? Tell yourself how much you deserve to be happy and that you are no longer willing to wait for the perfect conditions before allowing yourself to feel better. Your joy doesn't need to be conditional, and your peace doesn't have to wait, and your life doesn't need to be ideal. Maybe happiness isn't your default setting right now. Maybe your nervous system has spent years in protective, reactive mode. Maybe life has taught you how to brace yourself instead of trusting. You know what? That doesn't mean that happiness is unavailable to you. It just means you may need to be more intentional and have more awareness, practice it more, just be more self-understanding. Yeah. Okay. So let's just do a really quick recap. You discovered that there are many factors that affect your happiness and that it isn't you doing it wrong. It's because of these factors that influence why some people are just naturally happier than others. So then I talked about the positive psychology, and what they suggest is the breakdown and the degree of influence to our happiness, right? That approximately 50% comes from our genetics and 10% from our circumstances and 40% from our internal world. Again, our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, our actions and behaviors. Where we as humans tend to put our focus, however, is on the 10%, our circumstances. That's our health, our wealth, our status, our relationships. And we make these things conditional. If we focus more on the 40% influence, our inner world, you know what? We could experience a much deeper, more authentic happiness that is, more consistent and sustainable. So I also talked about the built-in hardwired negativity bias and how that affects our level of happiness. Knowing that even though it's stronger in some than in others, it can be retrained with intention. I talked about the happiness continuum and how that it is yet another way of measuring where we are on the spectrum of having the sweet spot to our happiness, and that is being happy for good reason and no reason, right? And because I'm, an information nerd, I also dove into the 4 main happy chemicals in our body, their main functions, and what we can do to support them in a healthier way. And lastly, I loaded you up with 10 happy hacks that will help you immensely at raising your happy set point and experience authentic, lasting joy. Now, I reminded everyone that just because some people are naturally happier than others does not mean in any way that you can't also be happy. So on the next episode of the Happy Hour with Amber, I'm going to be talking about the power of gratitude, appreciation, and letting go, and how that affects our body, mind, and soul. Alrighty then. If you're working on creating a happier life from within, and this episode of the Happy Hour deeply resonated with you, then you are in the right place. So I'm going to ask you, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel. No site required. I'm going to end this off by saying thank you, bless you, and have a beautiful, happy week.